Emma, can you hear us?
Yep, fine.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Exec Board meeting, 8th of January 2025. Mel, do we have any apologies for absence?
Thank you. We have apologies from Councillor Della and the following non-members of the board, Councillors Clatworthy and Dyke.
Thank you very much, and I could give the apologies of Councillor Birch as well, please, who's gone down with flu, so thank you. Any declarations of interest from anybody? No? Thank you. Minutes of the previous meeting. Would anybody like to propose those? Thank you. Paul and Aaron to second. Thank you. Okay, item 4, leaders' announcements. So as this is the first meeting of the Exec Board of the year, I'd like to wish all residents, councillors and staff a very happy and healthy 2025. The long-awaited devolution white paper was published on the 16th of December. As I'm sure you will all know, the white paper sets out plans for devolution to local government in England, and crucially for us, for the current structure of district and county councils to be replaced with unitary authorities. The government has set an ambitious timetable for this, with new unitary councils being delivered in April 2027 and 2028. Worcestershire leaders have already met to discuss the implications of the white paper, and I'm sure more meetings will follow. We do know that the government will formally invite unitary proposals this month, and we will share further details when we receive this invitation. I'm very pleased to report that the planning application for the exciting redevelopment of Droitwich Leisure Centre to include a new learner pool and extended customer car parking provision has been submitted. This is the first stage of our significant investment in health and wellbeing in the town, and we look forward to sharing more as these projects proceed. Also, we would like to thank all residents who took the time to complete our consultation on the project at the Lido. We received around 700 responses, which is fantastic, and has given us valuable feedback on how residents want the Lido to look in the future. Just before Christmas, we received our Corporate Peer Challenge report setting out a summary of the team's findings and their recommendations to help us progress from good to great. We welcome the positive feedback and the useful areas for improvement and recommendations identified in the report. We shared a link to the report in Vic's Roundup just before Christmas and have published it on our website along with our position statement. If you haven't already read it, do have a look. We're now working on an action plan in response to the report and recommendations, which we shall bring to the next Executive Board meeting for discussion and approval. Thank you. Okay. So, public question time. Have we had any questions from members of the public?
No, we have no questions.
Thank you very much, in which case I'm going to go to item 6, the Local Development Scheme 2024-2026. Councillor Paul Middleborough will take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. This document, in a sense, is an information document for the Council to pick up, but it does have recommendations. What I'd just remind members is that the Local Development Scheme, the LDS, is a project management document, and that's what it is, which sets out South Worcestershire Council's priorities for preparing the development plan documents over the next 2 years. It's a requirement, a statutory requirement to do this, and what we're doing tonight is just bringing you information on those changes which have taken place in recent times. And the intention of this LDS is to set out the updated timetable for the SWDP review, which is starting off, and it's to report on progress made to date on that review, and to state very specifically the position of the travellers and travelling show people's policies and site allocation development plan documents, which are being delayed slightly at the request of the inspectors who have asked us to do that. And also within the next couple of months, there will be the review of the SIL process. So that's where we are. I think I just put it in the context that this is a dynamic document. Some of us were here back in 2017 when the process started, and they've been there all the way through. I think, Margaret, I think I look at you when I say that. Others came in 2019 and have been through it during quite some time. Some of us came in 2003, although we might have had a bit of a sabbatical. So it is a dynamic document, and it's one which we're here really to present to fulfill our statutory requirements, and also to show the inspectors that we've actually got everything up to date that they're in, which we hope will facilitate the inspectors' review of the documents. So I don't think I want to say anything more on that, and I will commend to the board the recommendations in 2.1 and 2.2 on the first page of the document.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to ask Councillor Richard Morris to second.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Paul. I am happy to second. I was here in 2017. I'm still happy to be here, and I am very happy to second.
Thank you very much. Any comments from anybody or any questions? Councillor Tucker, Charles Tucker.
If I may ask Paul, you mentioned about a review of the SIL arrangements. I see under 6.4 in the LDS itself that we are required to produce a document, we're required to produce, identify and prioritise infrastructure projects for SIL spending by the 31st of December. Was that done, and is that document available, please?
I think I'll ask Ian MacLeod to comment on that in a bit more depth than myself, but in effect it was done.
It was done and it's on the examination website, so all the infrastructure delivery plan was published alongside the other documents required for the inspectorate to proceed with the inquiry for the South Worcestershire Development Plan review.
If I might come back, was that submitted some time ago? Because it's not on the ones which were submitted at the end of, or on the 4th of January.
It was submitted and it's on the examination website as far as we're aware, so it's certainly been submitted with the other suite of documents that went in.
It just isn't identified. I couldn't identify it when I was looking through the ones which were posted on the 4th of January.
We'll double check it with the programme officer if it hasn't gone live, but it's certainly been submitted.
Thank you. In any other, Councillor Liz Tucker, Post Biscuit. Oh, Liz. Liz, can you just pop your thanks?
Disappointment about access to documents. I know I've bored Paul and I've chewed officers and got absolutely nowhere. I do believe that the evidence that has been submitted to our council with the data in order for them to respond to the inspectorate ought to be available to councillors if they have need to understand it. And I have been told that they're too long and too complex and that sort of stuff, but I still think we should be able to access them if we so wish. I also would like to think that we can access the documents that are sent by our council to the inspectorate rather than wait for the inspectorate to get round to putting them up online, which will be possibly after the date when we are able to make submissions ourselves anyhow. It's a very short timescale to the 4th of March. And I really would ask for documents to be made available to councillors.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that request, but I think, Paul, would you want to comment on that?
You say we want people to have access, the public to have access, as well as councillors to have access to our documents, and the process has been set up. Some of those documents, and we've had a discussion about this, are models as opposed to actual documents which you can comment on them because they're nationally agreed models and they go into the process. But they go into a process, that modelling information is based on the information that we as a council have had in the past about where sites are going to be and where developments are going to actually take place. So it is following through the decisions made by the council. But it is there, you can search and see that transport model I'd welcome you to actually do that. I couldn't answer any questions in relation to the transport model. That would be something that we'd have to take through with the county council. But this process, when set up back in 2017, is following the process that the council agreed back in 2017.
if I could come back, I'm not trying to argue about the process or what's in them. I'm trying to have access for those who want to see them. So far, I realise that I can see the documents, 16 of which were published on the Saturday, the 4th of January, by the Inspectorate, but I've not been able to see them before that. And I don't understand when you say I can look things up, because you told me that the highways information came in 4 different documents, and the VIX Roundup said that the officers were working to bring them together in order to make their submission. Well, I'm quite interested in seeing what came in and what went out.
Perhaps our officers would like to comment on it. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. Well, we were working obviously to a tight deadline to get the documents completed. They're all submitted to the programme officer just before Christmas. I presume he was probably on leave for some of the Christmas period, and he's published them then, along with the members, the questions then that we've got to answer in preparation for the examination itself. But ultimately, once we've submitted the documents, it's for the programme officer to publish them, and he makes them available as quickly as possible.
He doesn't publish does he publish the original 4 documents, or just the one that's been compiled?
He publishes everything we've asked him to do that the inspectors have requested for the examination. So you have all the documents as soon as they've been submitted to him. Sometimes he publishes them the next day. Sometimes there's a delay of a week or so. In this case, I think the delay was purely due to the Christmas period, with him being on leave and then getting the documents loaded up when he was back.
I'm not clear about the answer, whether or not the 4 submissions from the highways advice people was also submitted to the Inspectorate.
It was all submitted at that point in time. It was around the 20th of December that we submitted them to the inspectors. So they'd have all been sent across to the programme officer. It's up then to the programme officer to publish the documents, which he did on the 4th of January. Including the transport evidence base. So all of the transport evidence base is on the inspector's website and on the examination page website. So you can access all of the transport documents and the background evidence base behind it.
Right. Your mic was off, but I understand what you're saying is you wish to continue to see the documents, and I think what I'm hearing from the officers is that there's no limit to the documents that you can see once they're on the website. So all I suggest is, if anybody's looking for documents, please do contact our staff, and I'm sure they'll help you get there. If there's a problem with that, then do let me know offline. Councillor Tucker, yeah. Charles?
Just to say that I've looked through the list of documents on the inspector's website, and I can't find anything about an annual report on the SIL, the SIL process. So is that a document which is required? Can I ask, is that a document which is required by the inspector, or is it just a document which we have to produce under the LDS and is not submitted to the inspector?
Just to be clear, SIL has been examined as a separate process to the local plan. So what we've taken the decision of, as we've set out in this report, is that we decided not to submit SIL for examination pre the work which was done on the development plan. The reason for that was because we were updating a number of items around viability and affordability of development as part of the evidence base for the local plan. We wanted to take that into account before we progressed SIL, but it is being examined completely separate to the local plan, so there would be nothing on the website related to the SIL examination itself.
But is that document, which was required to be done by the 31st of December, available, please?
Just to be clear, it was not required to be done by the 31st of December. There was no requirement to complete the SIL document by the 31st of December. It's a completely separate examination to the local plan process.
Just with respect, it does say in the report, in paragraph 6.4 in the LDS itself that it is expected to be completed by the 31st of December.
The work that was complete by the 31st was the viability work required to support the plan, and that has been published on the website. As I said, the SIL examination is a completely separate examination. There was no requirement to complete the SIL documentation for the South Worcestershire Development Plan Review. You're confusing the viability work with the SIL. It's a separate examination process completely.
I'm sorry, I'm just reading it as an ordinary person, reading what it says in the document, which says that the document should be produced by the 31st of December. I'm just asking whether that is the case or not, and can I see it?
Well, I think what I'm hearing is that they're two different things. One is, the viability report, and the other one will be the SIL report. I mean, if there's an underlying concern of some sort, I think we've had a fairly lengthy exchange on it. Perhaps we could take it offline. But as far as I'm aware, I just wanted to thank our officers for getting all of the many, many documents that were due to get in place by the 31st of December, which we did successfully achieve, and which I think is the broader point. If there are issues about any one particular document, I think they're available to be approached, and I'm sure they'll help you find them. If there is a problem in that process, then please come to me and I'll follow it up quite happily. Ian, did you want to say anything else on it?
Just to clarify, the reference relates to the infrastructure delivery plan, which informs the SIL work. So that has been submitted to the inspectors.
Okay, thank you very much. Paul, Councillor Ball.
Just for the, I think Councillor Tucker mentioned paragraph 6.1, didn't you? 6.4. 6.4. Well, we're looking at different parts of the document then, aren't we? But the SIL is completely spelt out in terms of paragraph 6.1, where submission is for October 2025.
Okay, thank you. Well, look, I think with that, it's probably a moment for me to ask, are there any further questions on the document, with some hesitation? No? Good. In that case, we'll take the vote. All those in favour?
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Very good. All right. So moving on now to the council tax base, item number 7. Councillor Erin Powell, please.
Thank you, Leader. This is a relatively technical report which simply spells out our estimates of the number of properties at Band D equivalent in each of our parishes and towns that will be used in order to calculate the council tax base and therefore the number of properties over which our total requirement for council tax for the coming year will be divided as we set the budget in February. As I say, it's a relatively technical report. It's based upon an estimate of the number of properties in each parish that would be eligible for paying council tax. And with that, I commend recommendations at paragraphs 2.1 and 2.2 to the Executive Board.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to second that item. Are there any questions from anybody about it? Seems fairly straightforward. Good. In that case, we'll take a vote. All those in favour?
Unanimous.
Thank you very much, everybody. And it's not quite the shortest meeting, I think, that we've ever had for an executive board. I just wanted to thank those of you who came on a cold night. Thank you for struggling to come out. All those of you who agreed to join online as well, thank you too for doing so. Much appreciated. And see you all again soon. Thank you.